and welcome back to my channel. My name is Charlene and this is my channel about mainly books but also about travel and all things cozy, and I just wanted to say Happy New Year! I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and New Year and had a lovely time. Unfortunately, it is now January again, which in my opinion is without doubt the worst month. It is freezing cold and there's nothing to do and everyone seems depressed. So I thought I'd cheer myself up today by going through what's on my TBR list. So I'm going to go through with you guys what I've got on my TBR list, and just to be clear, this is by far not everything on my TBR shelf or list or whatever you want to call it. I've got absolutely loads of books that I haven't read, but the ones I'm going to talk to you about today are the ones that I definitely want to make sure I get read in 2025. So the first book on my TBR list I don't actually have with me, and that's because it's not out yet, but I did order it on... when did I order it? Ages ago, the 9th of July, and it is coming out on the 16th of January, and that is the new Grady Hendrix book, which is called Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, and I managed to grab myself a signed edition and I'm very excited for that. In 2024 it was the first time I'd ever read a Grady Hendrix book, and I read two. I read The Final Girl Support Group and I read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, both of which I scored really highly and I loved reading, so I'm super excited for another Grady Hendrix book to come out. It looks creepy, it looks like it's about witches and witchcraft if the title is anything to go by, and if you don't know me already, I love anything to do with witches and witchcraft, so I'm super excited for that one to come out, and I hope it's with me really soon. The next book that is on my list of books that I need to make sure I get read this year is... now, are we pronouncing this like Babel or is it Babel? I think it's Babel, but this is a book that has been on my TBR list for a very long time and high up on my priorities. It is a dark academia book from what I can understand. It is a big old chunky book, but it is, you know, I've heard so much about it. I've been recommended it loads and loads of times. I've seen loads of people speaking about it. One of my favourite books that I read in 2024, potentially my favourite book, was The Secret History by Donna Tartt. And I think that this is kind of along those lines, the whole dark academia theme. So I'm super excited to be reading Babel. Also, it takes place in Oxford, which isn't too far from us, in a place that I absolutely love. So I'm very much excited to be reading Babel this year. The next book that I need to make sure that I get read in 2025 is Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. So again, in 2024 I read my first Riley Sager book, and that was the only one left. And I loved it. I scored it a 4 out of 5 and I really enjoyed reading it. My husband got this for me for Christmas and it looks super interesting. It doesn't give too much away on the back cover, but basically I think it's about the worst thing to ever happen on Hemlock Circle occurred in Ethan Marsh's backyard. So it basically tells a story of, like, in 1994 a 10-year-old went missing and they couldn't work out who took this little kid called Billy, and so his friend as an adult comes back to the neighborhood and wants to find out who did it and are these people still around and who are they. So that sounds extremely interesting. I love anything like creepy and thriller, anything horror, anything like that. So, and I also really enjoyed Riley Sager's writing, so Middle of the Night is one that I'm definitely excited to read in 2025. And the next one that I've got on my list is another one in the same kind of theme as The Secret History, and that is The Maidens. Every person that I've seen speak about this book speaks very highly, and every person that I've seen that loves The Secret History loves this book too. So I very much, it seems to be focused around a university and Greek, like in a similar way to The Secret History. It seems super interesting. It seems creepy and atmospheric, dark academia, and I'm very much excited to read this one. Like I said, it's one that I've heard nothing but good things about, so I'm very excited to read this. And I've also never read anything from this author before, so it was, you know, going to be good to try something different, try some different type of writing. And also it's got a quote from Stephen Fry on the front, so Stephen Fry thinks it's okay, it must be good. So yeah, The Maidens I'm very looking forward to reading. So this next book has been on my TBR list for quite some time, and I think I've just not got round to reading it yet because it seems like quite a chunky book, and so it's put me off a little bit. I've got so many things on my bookshelves that are like books I haven't read yet, and this one I really want to read and I've heard really good things about, but it keeps getting pushed to the back of my list. But I want to make sure that I get through this in 2025 because I can't be, you know, the only one who hasn't read it. And that is Butter. I've heard nothing but really, really good things about this book. On the back, the quote says, "There are two things I simply cannot tolerate, feminists and margarine." So that's a bit weird. But it's an international bestseller. It's a translated book. I think it's translated from Japanese. It's a big old chunky book. How many pages we got here? I don't know exactly right now, but I think it's 452. But yeah, this is a book that I've heard really, really good things about. From what I can gather, I think it's to do with food, but also like mystery and potentially like murder and things like that. You'll tell me if I'm wrong, and I'll find out myself when I actually get around to reading it. But the cover is amazing. And it sounds super interesting, and I've heard everybody saying really good things about this. And I get the feeling as well that this is going to be one of those books that's kind of unlike anything else I've read before. So very much looking forward to reading Butter. And if you've read it, please let me know. Spoiler free, of course, but let me know what you thought. The next book on my TBR list for 2025 is, and this sounds like a weird one, but it's American Psycho. And the reason that I want to read this is because firstly, I really like the film. I really like anything like creepy. I like thrillers, I like horrors. So I really like the American Psycho film. And also I really like, this is going to sound super random, but you know the song by Ice Nine Kills and the video that goes with it about American Psycho? I love that too. And so my husband bought me this book because he did me a little kind of like surprise haul, and this was in it. And this is probably something that I'd never even think to pick up by myself, but it's going to be so exciting to read it because I just love like the creepiness and how everything that goes on inside Patrick Bateman's mind, like, is it real, is it not, who knows what's actually happening. So I think to read the book of what it's actually, the film is based on, will be super interesting because I very much got the story in my head already from reading the film. So to read the book, I'm really excited about, and maybe it will clear up a couple of questions I had from the film. So really excited to read American Psycho. And the next one in my TBR list of 2025, nearly got the year wrong then already, is 1984 by George Orwell. This, I can't believe that this isn't a book that I haven't read already. Like this, obviously you hear so much about this book. You hear so much positive things about this book, but also you hear this book being referenced all the time. Like whenever there's anything like weird or Big Brother like or Black Mirror like that happens, everybody's referring to like, oh, it's very 1984. And I know the general premise of the book. It's actually one of my husband's favourite books. I just can't believe that I haven't read it yet. I don't know why. There's absolutely no excuse for having not read it yet, but 1984 is a very, very interesting, scary kind of take on what could happen in our futures based on George Orwell's thoughts in 1984. And from what I know of it, it's pretty scarily accurate to what the world is like now. So it might be a bit of a dark read, it might be a bit scary at times, and I wish I wasn't this way, but I'm one of those people that like, I'm a bit conspiracy theory minded. So I know that I'm going to read this and it's going to hit home and I'm going to be like, there's cameras everywhere, they're watching us, but oh well, it is what it is. I'm sure it'll be worth it. So yeah, 1984, I'm really looking forward to reading. And the next book on my 2025 TBR list is Ninth House. This is a book that I actually hadn't heard of, but this was one of my Christmas presents from my husband. And from having a quick read of the blurb, it seems so interesting. I think it's in that kind of dark academia realm, which is why he picked it up for me. But from what I can see, it's about Yale's secret societies. There's a dead girl on campus. There's forbidden magic, raising of the dead. Like, yes, thank you. That sounds so far up my street. So yeah, like I said, I don't really know much about this book. I think it's one that's kind of doing the rounds recently, and it is quite chunky. Let's see how many. I think it's 455 pages, maybe 450. But But yeah, it seems super interesting. It's a bestseller. So yeah, very excited to read Ninth House. And if you have read this, please let me know what you thought. We're nearly there. Next on my TBR list is The Silent Woods. And the book is like a really odd size. I'm not sure because we got this off Amazon, if it's like a proper like print, or if it's, you know, one of those, sometimes when you order like books and things off Amazon, they come in like a really weird size and they just, I don't know, like the cover seems a bit weird and stuff. Anyway, I'm sure it's still going to be the same inside. But These Silent Woods, when I say we, I mean me and my husband, have seen a few booktubers talking about this book, and they seem to be kind of like really impressed by it. I think it's a thriller. It says no electricity, no family, no connection to the world outside. It's quite a long blurb, so I won't read it to you all, but it says it's a poignant story of survival, sacrifice, and how far a father will go when faced with losing it all. I think yeah, from what I can understand, this is like a really gripping thriller, and I absolutely love a thriller so much. So this, like I said, it's one that we've heard lots and lots of good things about, so I'm super excited to read These Silent Woods. The second to last book on my 2025 TBR list is The Book of Witching, and again, this is one beautiful hardback cover. I absolutely love it. As you'll know by now, I love anything and everything to do with witches. Books about witches, stories about witches, I just absolutely love it. It's a female author and it seems extremely interesting. It says 400 years separates them, one book binds them. And I had a read of the blurb, and it basically is the story of two different people at two different times connected to this one book, which I'm guessing is the Book of Witching. And there's something to do with them burning or something like that. I'm not sure entirely, but I know I'm going to love this because firstly, my husband bought it for me and he knows exactly what I like. And secondly, it's about witches. What's not to love? So yes, The Book of Witching is high up on my 2025 TBR list. And the final book on my 2025 TBR list for now, by the way, that will be ever expanding. I'm sure I'll be picking up books left, right and centre. But for now, it is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. So this one is very high up on my list of books to read in 2025. It'll probably be one that I'll read quite soon. I read my first M.L. Rio book this year, which was Graveyard Shift, which I really enjoyed. The story was just really short. So this is a much chunkier book. It's a proper novel, and it says when friends become enemies, there's no limit to the damage they can do. Like Donna Tartt's The Secret History, M.L. Rio's sparkling debut is a richly layered story of love, friendship and obsession. And again, we've seen lots and lots of people talking and raving about this book. I will read you the blurb because I think it sounds so interesting. So it says, Oliver Marks has just served 10 years for a murder he may or may not have committed. On the day of his release, he is greeted by the detective who put him in prison. Detective Colburn is retiring and he wants to know what really happened a decade before. As a young actor at an elite conservatory, Oliver noticed that his talented classmates seemed to play the same characters on stage and off, villain, hero, temptress, though he was always a supporting role. But when the teachers changed the casting, a good-natured rivalry turns ugly and the play spills dangerously over into real life. When tragedy strikes, one of the 7 friends is found dead. The rest face their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police and themselves that they are blameless. Oh, that sounds so interesting. It's like creepy, it's dark academia-y, it's kind of like The Secret History, it's about drama, murder. Yeah, that sounds really like something that I'd really enjoy, and every single person I've heard talking about this absolutely loves it. So If We Were Friends, I think this and Babel in particular are going to be really high up on my list of things that I'm going to read ASAP. If We Were Villains. So like I said, those books are the ones that's on my radar right now, the books that I have on my bookshelf downstairs that I need and want to make sure that I get to ASAP in 2025. But saying that, I've got other books that I've got for Christmas. I've got other books that are on my shelf that I haven't read yet. I've got Waterstones vouchers. I've got lots of books on my radar. It seems like every time I'm in town, like I can't walk past Waterstones or W.H. Smith or something without picking something up. It's just what I like to do. So those are the books that for now are on my radar, but that's going to more than expand. I will fill you in with other things that I pick up here and there. And yeah, I just really want to, like, 2024 was my year where I've read the most of anything I've ever read. I've always been like a reader, I've always enjoyed reading, but 2024 I decided to take it more seriously and put more time into reading because it was like my favorite thing to do. So, sorry, 2024, that was what I did. So in 2025 I want to focus on it even more. I want to make more videos, I want to interact more with you guys, I want to get more involved in like the whole world of books and go to events and, you know, go on days out based on books. I want to just do as much as I can because I'm really enjoying myself and loving it, and I feel very much like this is my space. You know how you spend a lot of time trying to like figure out what's your thing, what you enjoy, who your people, where you fit in, and this is my space. This is where I feel comfortable and happy. I'm an introvert. I love staying in and snuggling up and reading. Me and my husband both love reading, so this is what I want to devote more time to in 2025. Please do subscribe to my channel because I'm sure there'll be lots of exciting videos to come. I want to do my best this year and hold myself accountable to trying to do a video a week. So that's my goal. I'm going to be reading more, and I would just really love you guys to come along for my reading journey. If you've got this far into the video, thanks so much for watching. Please do like this video and subscribe to my little channel, and I'll love you forever. And yeah, chat with me in the comments and tell me, is there anything that you think that I should have on my TBR list for 2025? Is there anything that I've completely missed out? You've seen what kind of books I like, so is there anything else that you think should be in my TBR list? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!